All righty. Welcome back to another episode of Two Fans, 12 Rings. Jeff here. Brad, how are you? You already got a Lakers hat.
I do. I got the Lakers.
I just noticed that.
I'm chilling.
Man.
And we got a Luka Laker hoodie on the way. I was supposed to arrive on the 19th, but it'll be here by 8 p.m. according to Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So where are we starting this pod at? There's a lot to talk about. I feel like we should start Super Bowl.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, everybody's talking about that.
Yeah. So, not to toot our horns, but both of us thought Philly would win by 10. So, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was predicting a blowout because I wasn't. I didn't think it would look like that. I will say this: if you say it out loud, right, and you kind of look at the grand scheme of things, the only reason I was even remotely doubting the Eagles winning by 2 touchdowns was very simply they have Patrick Mahomes. I'm not joking you. Any other thing I would have said I just don't care. Like it was just like they and Andy Reid. We'll throw Andy Reid in there too. They have Andy Reid and they have Patrick Mahomes. That's the only reason that this isn't a 2 touchdown game. And when you're able to make Patrick Mahomes look very pedestrian, and you're able to make it so Andy Reid can't put his fingerprints on the game and on the game plan, and the game is being dominated by the other team, then your prediction can come true. I just really liked. It took me a long time. To come around on this Eagles team. But like the matchup we were getting in the Super Bowl, because I never came around on the Chiefs. Matter of fact, I think I jumped off the bandwagon of the Chiefs before they even lost their first game. Like it was just like this just doesn't look right. And I would have taken Baltimore or the Bills to beat the Chiefs. I ended up predicting the Bills to beat the Chiefs. They didn't. The game plan for beating any great quarterback is always interior pressure by rushing 4. Like it's worked against Brady. It's worked against Mahomes twice against Brady as well. And there's other instances against Brady that I can come up with as well that weren't just Super Bowls. But yeah, I just think like the way that the game played out was Philly's defense was a star of the show for sure, obviously. But Jalen Hurts, man, I'll tell you what. He's got the argument for a top 5 quarterback now, and if you don't have him in the top 5, you got some explaining to do. Nick Sirianni sure as hell silenced a lot of doubters. If you would have told me, hey, Saquon's gonna rush for 30 some odd yards.
I think it was all-purpose yards. He was around the 90 mark between catching and
he had like a 40-yard catch. So honestly, if you remove that, like he really was pedestrian.
He still did it though.
He did. He did. But like rushing the football is where he's the biggest difference maker, and he wasn't able to make that. So if you're telling me, hey, this is what his rushing stats were, I would have been like, yeah, I'm taking Kansas City. But again, the way the game played out, I'll let you take it away. I know you're a lot more passionate on Philadelphia than I am. I obviously was only passionate in seeing the downfall of the Chiefs because I'm not a huge Philadelphia fan. I don't love their team, their fan base. But there's players on the team that I like, but I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, it all came down to what I said 3 years ago when Jalen Hurts was the starter, Nick Sirianni was the coach, and I predicted him the 14-3, and they lost the Super Bowl that year. And what I said at the very beginning in the division breakdown before that season started is I said this will all come down to whether you believe in Jalen Hurts or if you don't. And it seems to me like I don't know if Jalen Hurts is a guy that when he's 34, 35 and up is going to still be able to play. But while he has his athleticism, he's very smart, and he's not like the Lamar or Michael Vick running style. He's a powerful guy, straight line speed, maybe make one guy miss, take what you give him, and he can throw the ball down the field. You don't go to Oklahoma and Alabama and sling the pill around like that for 2 years in college football without the ability. Now, I understand the little bit of pushback if people were like, well, I don't know if he's five because we know we've set our four guys apart, the Burrow, Jackson, Allen, Mahomes. But even still, it's just that, like, you could push back because of his roster, but there's been a lot of teams that, like, man, the roster's great, but the quarterback just sucks, so they're not good. It's like you still have to be good with that kind of thing. Um, Again, I just feel like, I played the new NCAA game, college football. I don't know if many people listening, I'm sure you did or you didn't, but in that game, you can recruit for the next year. Every year, as I own Texas. I'm not big into building up the small schools, but you're able to get 4 and 5 star recruits, a lot of them. I made sure every single year I had 3 5 stars on the offensive line. I put all my resources into it. And then you look at how you can pressure a quarterback on the D line. And it's like, I feel like a lot of teams want to have a star or two in that area. But the Eagles literally have a Pro Bowl roster on the offensive line. They could have outside of Panay Sewell, they have the NFC Pro Bowl offensive line. And it just shows how dominant you can be when you control the line of scrimmage like that. And vice versa, Patrick Mahomes just the pressure was in his face immediately. Jalen Carter looks like he's going to be a J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald level of this Chris Jones, Cameron Hayward. Like, even he's probably going to win a Defensive Player of the Year if he keeps going at the rate he's going. To have a guy like that and the whole system around, we could talk about how they're actually loaded at other places too, which they are. Their roster is just extreme. But that was just one thing where I pointed out with the Eagles and what has panned out the last 3 years. They had that weird collapse last year. Super Bowl hangover. The team loses a Super Bowl. We've seen that from teams. They were 10-1 going into like the end. But what I just kept saying is I don't see one place where you can attack the Eagles. They are just so strong everywhere. And again, it came down to whether you believe in Jalen Hurts or not. And he didn't have the gaudy stats. He gets those 1 yard rushing touchdowns and the tush push, and he makes a difference. But then again, where his 2 best games? They're in the Super Bowl. He shows up when you need him. He's a big game player. I don't know if there's any quarterback I've ever seen in the history of me watching football that has the same personality at every second. He's never running down the sideline like Brady, let's go, or barking. He's never moping. I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing where other quarterbacks need it. It's just Jalen Hurts is always Jalen Hurts. And I think that is a unique partnership to a coach who sometimes can't control his emotions. You got to have Brady was fiery. Let's all go yelling at teammates. But Bill Belichick was steady face. There's a certain balance there that I think works at the end of the day, and the roster's so loaded. And I'm not anti-Chiefs. I predicted the Eagles to score 34. I didn't know they'd do that before the Chiefs got a point. No, but I don't think anyone saw that coming. And again, a lot of people pushing back on Mahomes. See, we knew this team, or Mahomes isn't as. Look, Mahomes is average if you're going to compare him to Brady. Against everyone else, we shouldn't start dragging Patrick Mahomes through the mud. He got overwhelmed in a game, had his worst performance in a big spot, and that sucks for him. It was also on the back of winning 2 straight Super Bowls before that. I just think, yeah, it hurt massively, his kind of chase for Brady. It may have undone it in the end of things when we look back. This may have been the moment where there's no shot he can catch Brady. But compared to everyone else, let's just pump the brakes, give it an off season. Let's wait till Thanksgiving before we start talking about Mahomes just is overrated and Allen's better. He would have had a better chance against this Eagles team. He was just overwhelmed. The Eagles were just better. I think it was all about the Eagles, not about how bad the Chiefs were.
Yeah, I want to make something pretty clear here when it comes to the Chiefs and Mahomes. And this is a team that the way that we were introduced to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs was very high-powered, octane offense. could
Bombs for
drop
MVP.
bombs. Yes, like we knew them at that. They took a brief step back from that and then immediately got back into it just literally a couple of years ago, the beginning of this three-peat. Mahomes led everybody in yards. He threw the third most in the history of the league. He threw another 40 touchdowns that year, got the MVP. They only lost 3 games.
I think he broke
It's
the record for yards accounted for by a quarterback between rushing and passing. I think he
oh,
broke that record.
he might have. He might have.
I
And
think he
that's
has the record. I don't know what year he broke it, but yards by a quarterback, I think Drew Brees said it, and then I think Patrick Mahomes beat it with total yards.
okay. That would have probably been the year because he threw over 5,200 yards that year.
Yeah.
The thing about Patrick is just like he has won in so many different facets, but the ways that we see him get undone is when these offensive line issues arise. And I'm not going to put it all on Patrick, though I thought he played very poorly, and I never seen that. Again, I don't want to make this about Tom. We'll get to that point. I just never seen that fiery, like, we have to get back in this. I never seen, and I'm sure there was some rallying of the troops. I've seen some weird videos that have surfaced where he dabs up everybody, purposely skips Samaje Perine, which was weird. So there are some things that you got to put on Travis Kelce. I didn't think he played his best game in a point where you should have at least one more game in you. There was plenty of clips that are arising of him taking straight up plays off.
Awful look. Bad look.
Multiple plays of him either just not trying or.
I wonder because Ian Rappaport, I just read it before we got on. Travis Kelce gave the whole spiel. I feel like I can still play, but I got to think about where I'm determined and motivated and this and that. And then, coming off the field and like, I'm helpless when they're booing Taylor Swift. That was an awful look, dude. Grow up. Like they're booing Taylor Swift. Shut him up. Maybe you go shut him up. Like it just seems like I don't know. It seems like the Taylor Swift, the media, the podcast. It seems like he's almost moved on from football, but he still has the pads on. And maybe the greatest tight end of all time certainly has his case. That's a garage conversation for another day. But it's just that, like, that's who I worried about more. It was Travis Kelce who kind of disappeared. And then Chris Jones is on all fours on, like, the bench when something goes wrong. And it's like, Pat's probably looking around like, dude, you guys are supposed to help me galvanize the team, and you guys are bitching. Like, it was a weird day for the Chiefs. It's almost like they oversold the script. They were like, they're catching on to us. We need to blow the Super Bowl. And then they acted too hard. Like, it was just such a weird game. It was so weird. It was so weird.
It is very strange when, like, I watched a Super Bowl like that before, and the sideline didn't look like that. It was, you got to believe, laser focus, one play at a time, laser focus.
Let's get this first down.
Here.
First down.
Like,
let's get the ball.
It looked so much different than how that looked.
Colin Cowherd had a great quick statement. It was just part of it. It looked like the Chiefs ran one play 35 times.
Weirdly enough, that's very accurate. It didn't feel like it was creative.
I think they had 8 designed runs in the football game. It was Patrick Mahomes drop back, fight for his life, and wait till the Eagles get the ball back. Like, that's literally what it seemed like. It's this same play for 3 straight quarters. Like, it was bizarre.
Yeah, and I started by saying this, and I never really wrapped it up. Patrick Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the football. And while I do, and I said this on the pod just 2 weeks ago, I do believe that the gap between him and Josh Allen is minuscule, and I'll stand by that before and after this Super Bowl. This Super Bowl didn't change my mind on Patrick Mahomes. This Super Bowl proved what I've thought about this Chiefs team for 3 years, that they are vulnerable. They just haven't proven me right. And even this game, they didn't necessarily prove me right because that Eagles team is so damn good.
I think what this Super Bowl did, at least in the short term, we'll see how it transpires after next year, because, man, Chiefs got to be tired. That's a lot of football they played now.
60 games.
Yeah. So I think what it's done for me is the Mount Rushmore of right now playing we have in the AFC: Burrow, Jackson, Allen, and Mahomes. I think it's literally put all four of them in every time we see him play. It's like those guys are all on the same level, I think. Not accolade wise, Mahomes has it and Mahomes has beat them, so we're going to put him one short. But all four of those guys, hey, they're playing in 2 weeks. Okay, I don't know who's going to win. Can't wait to watch because they have those guys. And what Jalen Hurts has done is he's put himself as the top guy in the NFC. I think there may be, off the top of my head, two guys that have an argument for these reasons. Jared Goff, only for the fact that his team is so good and the success they've had the past 2 seasons, and Matt Stafford, because the Rams have come this close to being the team that's instead of them, and they have a Super Bowl in the last 3 years. But I think Jalen Hurts has said, I'm the best quarterback in the NFC, and we are the best team. And then you have the gauntlet of the four top quarterbacks in the sport all in the AFC currently.
Yeah, and I think we touched on this a few years ago. And one of the reasons Tom didn't want to retire once he got to the NFC, he said,
I'm the best quarterback here. Like, what are we talking
who's
about?
my competition?
Seriously.
Who's my competition? And Stafford, to his credit, he got to the NFC, won immediately. And I think we all were like, yeah, he's probably the best quarterback in the NFC now, you know? And to
Well, he was
Jalen's
always in the
credit,
NFC. He was just on the Lions before DC.
yeah, but to Jalen's credit, like once he showed up to the big dance a couple of years ago, I think everybody wanted to give it to him. And I think we even did a QB tier. He might have come in at number 3 that year after that Super Bowl. And we wanted to keep him there, but then the collapse last year, and he's right there. I think he's sound at 5, in my opinion. I think he's dead set at 5, but he's the best of the NFC, and there's a gap. There's a gap.
Yeah, and I think it's magnified. Like, there is a gap, I agree. But it's also magnified because of the strength of the entire roster. Like,
Correct.
yeah, I mean, they're a handful.
Yeah. Move it into kind of the GOAT stuff. My biggest argument pre-game was, well, Tom went into Arrowhead, and Patrick Mahomes, it's Mahomes' first year, but Tom's on the end of his days. He goes into Arrowhead, beats him with a laser pointer in his eye all game, and then 2 years later, in the Super Bowl, beats him handily. And now, mind you, a
He
lot
beat
of
him,
defensive.
period.
He beat him. And could have stat padded had it been a closer game because Tom had his way in the first half, truthfully. But he beats him. So he's 2-0 in the playoffs against him. And that was like if you need more of an argument. My biggest argument is Tom Brady went to 10 effing Super Bowls, won 7 of them. And every single one, all 10 games, he held the lead in the fourth quarter.
As far as I'm concerned, for Mahomes, in my opinion, to pass Brady, he would have to get to 10 Super Bowls and win 8. Because then he would have one less loss in Super Bowls. But let's say Mahomes goes to 10 Super Bowls and wins 7. Still lost the head to head.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just going to be there. And so
I'll say this about
got a long way
Patrick.
to go. Got a long way to go.
The three-peat would have helped.
Oh
Would have
yeah,
helped.
something nobody's ever done.
Yeah. As of right now, he's got 2 and 3 years. Brady's got 2 and 3 years. Matter of fact, Brady's got 3 and 4 years and 2 and 3 years. So, like, however you want to look at it, he also has 3 and 5 years. Okay. Tom's got the undefeated regular season under his belt. Obviously it wasn't a completed full season. I think Patrick, no matter what, and we do this in every sport, in every timeline, it looks different now because the sport's better now. We do have a glimpse because Tom played so long and was able to play during this quote unquote current form. People like to use the stats. Dude, Tom Brady before turning 30 wasn't half the quarterback that Tom Brady was at 40 years old.
Well,
Tom was arguably the best quarterback of his life post 40. You could
yeah,
argue that.
there's just right now, because of how long he did it, how good he was, how dominant he was, all of the statistics, there is just in like the thing is look at how great Patrick Mahomes has been for 7 years.
He's been the best.
Just think about that 7 year stretch. And people are like, okay, he has to do this 7 year stretch again. Like that's how far Brady like set the bar, and it's not fair to any other quarterback. And that's why I stated again, if we want to compare Pat to Brady, I'm willing to listen to the degrading and what he still has to do, but it is such a high level that like I think Mahomes is second. Like he's in a conversation with legendary names. Joe Montana comes to mind. If you look at just rings, you could talk about Bradshaw, but I don't think he's in that conversation. I don't have a problem with Mahomes at 2, but I just hear a lot of people like, yeah, we finally get to see Pat. It's not all perfect, this and that. And it's like, yo, it's the Super Bowl now. Like it's almost like the LeBron James treatment. I'm sure you've listened to Nick Wright a little bit, and it's like he gets crucified for losing the Super Bowl, but if he would have lost in the first round or second round to the Bills, would it have looked that bad? No, it's crucified more because he won too many games to get to the Super Bowl where he finally lost. Like
you won't hear me, and I said this to you before just a minute ago. My argument for him being the GOAT didn't change based off this game.
No.
It was never going to.
No.
He could have won the game by 50. This game alone wasn't changing his GOAT status for me. What you just said, and I kind of disagree with you.
Nope.
And not only does he have to do it again,
then he's close.
Then he just gets close. It's not enough.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, just to put it in perspective, the man since he's been the starter, 6 straight AFC championship games. He's made it to 5 Super Bowls and won 3 of them, I believe. And he has, is it 1 MVP or 2?
Who?
1. 2?
Who?
Mahomes.
Mahomes has 2 and Brady has.
Well, I'm just saying,
2.
Mahomes has two MVPs, 5 Super Bowl appearances, 3 wins, and 5 or 6 straight AFC championship games. Yeah. There's also the looming, like, how many years does Andy Reid have? There's just so much left. I can't wait to see it. But I also just, like, I hate just, like, the slander on greatness. Like, you know, I go to a bar for volleyball, I do this, and, like, you'll get those people who are just, like, they work and they hear about football, and it's like, I hate the Chiefs. Go Birds. I want the Eagles to win so bad because the Chiefs are so annoying. And I'm like, literally 70% of it is not their fault. It's the media showing people and like this social media rise against who's good. And it's like, I remember one picture, and this cracked me up. It was before the Super Bowl, and it came out, and it said, just remember, everybody, this was 6 years ago. There was a picture of the U.S., and it said, who are you rooting for? And that top little corner was blue with the Patriots logo, and 80% of the United States, 90 even, was the Chiefs. And it's like, 6 years ago, you were praying for Patrick Mahomes to beat Brady, and he lost. And now fast forward 6 years, it's like, he's Kermit the Frog. I don't like his kids' names. His wife's annoying. Taylor Swift, get her off my TV. Travis Kelce's a baby. And it's like, dude, they were just successful. Like, they're actually, like, if you look at what they're doing, they're, like, pretty cool people. They're not bad. Like, and I'm not saying you need to love them, and everyone needs a villain, but it's like.
There is an element of this, Brad. Now, to piggyback off what you just said, you know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was, when 90% of the country wanted the Chiefs to upset the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
You get fatigue of the teams that are good, but also you want that team that you're rooting for to kind of look a certain way and be good, but never too good. Do you know who this is a great example of? The Warriors. We wanted them to be good. Splash Brothers, they're exciting. They're shooting threes. Then you get Durant, and it's like, no. You took it too far. You a bridge too far, and then you dominate the league.
I don't
That's
remember
kind
anyone
of how
hating
the
the
Chiefs
Spurs.
were. What's that?
I don't remember anyone hating the Spurs. They were good for a long time, but they weren't too good. They won like 5
Correct.
titles over
They
like
never went back to
6
back. They never went back to back. They
years.
won their titles every like 3 years.
Yeah.
And they were kind of boring. So it's like, you're one of us.
And I'm not naive. I know there is a refereeing element to it where I get it. But
To be fair, the referee element comes for any good team ever. That's just always the case.
facts.
Somehow, some way, this, because obviously, my one flaw as a human being is I'm gonna defend Tom Brady till the day I die. That's my flaw as a human. And
Just
in the
shot the
fourth,
president. Yeah, but he's the GOAT.
and I'm not gonna lie, when Devontae Smith caught that dagger touchdown, I was in my feels and I was talking my talk. Okay.
I know.
I went to Facebook, and somehow, some way, in every world, LeBron James gets brought up.
GOAT. It's just when you're on that when you're trying to get to that GOAT level, the top 1 to 2, 3 at any sport ever, you're gonna get
Yeah.
brought up in cross reference. It's just how it goes.
I just for a second I want to tab into this because I want to make something pretty clear here. I believe that LeBron James is the GOAT, but I am not sold, signed, sealed, delivered, passionate, die on a hill like I will for Tom. And second thing is, the one thing that for me, like the one thing, when you watch LeBron James, I just don't understand how you could think that anyone's ever better than that. Just like, this here is a 6'8", 260-pound specimen that can jump through the gym, can do everything we've ever wanted, guard all 5 positions, has had the top level success. And I understand that not everybody's success includes second place. I would hate to see how you are as a father, because my son got second place last week at a really tough tournament, and basically you guys all want me to tell him he's a piece of shit. So it's just, for me, second place still means something. Like, that's an achievement. LeBron has 6 second place finishes and 4 first place finishes.
Just something about LeBron too. Like, I just thought this was a funny stat I saw earlier. It was just on my mind. But you know how LeBron's averaged 27, 7, and 7 for 22 years, but he's never had that stat line in a game.
It's the funniest stat of all sports.
Do you want to extend that stat here real quick?
Oh boy.
It's either 27, 7, and 7, or between assists and rebounds flop to 8 and 7. That's what he averages each day of the week in his NBA career. When games fall on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, each day, if you look at the days he's played throughout his whole career, they're all like between 26 and 28 points and between 7 or 8 rebounds and assists. But most of it's like there's like 4 days that are all the same. It's like his consistency and longevity is just absurd. He's played 3 extra seasons of just playoff basketball too, if you count it all. Like, he's basically played 25 years of basketball. Unreal.
You know how it's crazy, and I think it's Cowherd that's brought this up so many times. You know how LeBron James is really good is because he also averaged 27, 7, and 7 in high school.
He's an AI. He's the first AI. They just let him out there.
It's just always what he's averaged. It's what he needs to bring to a game. And yeah, it is honestly wild.
To your point, LeBron is 4 and 6 in finals. I would rather be 4 and 6 in the NBA finals than 4 and 2. You won 4 times in the finals and you got there, but you got there 6 times. I'll have 4 rings either way. Let me get to 10 NBA finals.
Yeah, and I literally don't want to bring this as a LeBron James pod, because that's not what this was supposed to be.
It's always supposed to get it in there, though.
It just, LeBron James will die someday telling our kids about the most hated athlete in the history of the planet.
Do you know how like cool it is? Like, that LeBron's on my team now.
Yeah. Can we move into this? Can we just move straight into this?
Yeah.
We both watched the other night I sent you a picture. You sent me a picture right
I was
back.
already in there, yeah.
Obviously, it's the debut. I hate to make this about LeBron. My biggest takeaway about Luka's debut is LeBron looks like a kid in a candy store and is ready to win an NBA title. I'm not saying he's going to, but the face that he was wearing during that game is, oh my gosh, we have a chance. Like he just felt rejuvenated.
Yeah, you
Like,
have
did
to.
you get those vibes?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I thought what he started to show is like there's gonna be like I think games, quarters, halves where LeBron, I don't want to say shuts down, but turns way down on offense because he knows for the first time he's on a roster that requires his defense, not his offense. There's two other guys who can run the offense. There's two guys that can score 50, and LeBron's a walking 12 to 25 without even really trying. But like it's exciting to see him because you can't say his age is a factor yet. He's shooting better than he ever has. He can traverse the floor. He plays the minutes. He takes care of his body. And now you've got Luka and Austin Reeves has come into it. Dalton Connect comes back. Like the rosters, that was one thing that I also took away is like the last few times I watched the Mavs, it's like Luka's not there, so it was boring, and I was like, man, he's hurt, right now. But gosh, I forgot how much fun I have watching Luka, and then LeBron's out there, and Austin Reeves is hitting a bank shot and a catch three, and then it's like, sometimes I'm covering my face. Luka throws a lob, the dude like forgets to jump or whatever, and it's bad, and it's like, that's a bad look, but they're up 22. Who cares? Like, it's just like again, like Luka has that quote. He's like, we put so much pressure on young athletes that they forget how to play the game with joy, and we're taken away from the game. And that's exactly what Luka is. He's never felt pressure. There's an iconic video, I believe it's against the Clippers. He's like 22 or 23. They're in a timeout with like 16 seconds left. These numbers are very close. They're in a timeout talking about the play, and Luka to the right of his chair is doing a water bottle flip. He tries it. He tries it like twice. He misses once. He tries it again. They go out of the huddle. He runs around a pick, catches the inbound, hits a step back three to win the game. There's just no pressure with the guy. He just plays with so much fun. It looks crazy. And now you got LeBron and Luka playing together, and it's just like I love watching him play. I can say I'm proud to be a Laker, and the Mavs front office has made that so much easier throughout this process with the quotes and comments that are coming out. And gosh, and then Anthony Davis out for a couple weeks, Gafford out for a couple weeks, Lively out for the rest of the regular season, and it's like, go ahead and lean on Kyrie because his legs could give out too. And it's like I don't hate those guys, but it's like, man, any story you see, the Mavs fan base. I mean, Dirk, do you want to see AD's first game with the? No, I'm gonna go peep Luka at Bitcoin Center, whatever the hell it's called, crypto, whatever.
That was telling to me.
Yeah, of course
That
it was.
Dirk Nowitzki was at the freaking Laker game for Luka's debut.
That's big bro. Like they're homies.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be this thing. Hey man, we're from overseas. Like I'm gonna show you the way your first season. You take it on. We're both gonna have statues, and then one day we're gonna have a drink about all the success. And Mark Cuban's gonna own the team. Mark Cuban sold the team, and just the vibe around the whole thing has just been like what. And then obviously this Luka trade, we talked about it a bit.
Yeah, my takeaway from his debut was a few things, but none of them are Luka. Like Luka played 24 minutes. It was his first game he played in over a month.
14,
So
5,
like
4, 23 minutes, no fourth quarter because we were blowing out the Jazz. I say we already. I'm Luka, all right? Okay? Where Luka's at, that's my team.
Yeah.
I got traded. Y'all get it.
I'm gonna miss some spots, but I'm gonna give like the last 10-ish days for Laker fans. LeBron drops 40 at MSG and is quoted after the game, "This might not be the last time you see me." A day or two later, they trade for Luka. Then they win a game. Then LeBron sits out because they're playing like a back-to-back. Austin Reeves drops 45 with Luka and LeBron watching from the bench.
Do
Okay?
you see what JJ Redick said to Austin Reeves before that game?
No.
It got quoted like JJ Redick said to Austin Reeves, "No LeBron, no Luka. I'm going to need 38, 5, and 5 out of you." He gave 45, 7, and 7.
And then, you know, a home game against a bad basketball team, Luka's debut, they easily score over 130. And I just started to think, and Nick Wright actually he brought this up, and this was I haven't heard anybody use this analogy yet. It's not even an analogy; it's the facts. Would you agree that 40-year-old LeBron, he's about 75% of his prime, or do you think it's more or less?
I agree with what you're saying. I've heard it as well. Yes. Like, honestly, it's not the overwhelming athleticism, but the IQ, the control, and what he's made up for in shooting. He's just a different player. But I don't believe he's truly that much less. I think he could be 85% of his prime because in moments, and moments for him are halves or games, he takes over. And again, his shooting has it's way better than it ever was when he was an athlete. He's so versatile, but keep going.
The point I'm trying to make is like 75% of prime LeBron is about the 10th best player in the league. So if Luka gets the 10th best player in the league to run with him, you have to imagine that's a pretty dangerous team.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what made it kind of easier is, have you heard the quote from the Mavericks' new owner, Patrick Dumont?
Mm-mm.
This is what he said when he was quoted about it. He said, "If you look at the greats in the league and the people you and I grew up with, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard every day with
Oh,
singular focus to win. And if you don't have that, it doesn't work. You shouldn't be a part of the Dallas Mavericks." And it was responded to with Luka wrapped up at the ribs, Luka's knee bleeding, Luka with tape down his hamstring and his calf, Luka leading the league in minutes, Luka leading you to a Western Conference Finals, then another one winning it, and then the NBA Finals where the Celtics were on a historic run and they lost. It's like, it's just so easy to be like, fuck them. Literally, the only thing that sucks is that some of the players I still like PJ Washington was Luka's bodyguard. Daniel Gafford was just an engine. I hope we can see him link up with Luka again. And Derek Lively, he's so young. I'm hoping that one day he gets to pair back up with Luka. He's got injury issues as well. And one more thing, you know that Mark Williams trade that got rescinded and whatnot? There's rumors floating around that he may like tell the Hornets he simply doesn't want to play for him. They cut
get
him,
bought out.
and then the Lakers signed him off the buyout. Now they signed what's his name, Aaron Len or Andrew Len, like a 7-1 center. Or something
Yeah,
like
not Jeremy Lin, but basically.
yeah. And they got rid of Christian Wood, so they grabbed some size and Hayes. He's young player, gives effort, but it's like no one's stopping Jokic when you play him. Like what? Oh,
Yeah.
who's going to guard Rudy Gobert? It's like anyone tall. He's a defensive guy. Rudy Gobert's not putting up 45 points. Who's going to guard Karl Anthony Towns? Someone on the Celtics before they get beat. Like who
First
cares?
off, first off, if you have to guard Karl Anthony Towns during the NBA Finals, you'll figure it out.
Bingo, bingo.
So I want to touch on a little bit from what you just said about Luka, about how the Mavericks have just blatantly disrespected him, and um, I forget who said this, but it was like if somebody were to have called me, and I'm an NBA owner, and they said, "Hey, we want to trade you Luka," your response as the other GM should have been like, "Shoot, who did he kill, and how can we cover it up?" That's how it should have been treated.
Yeah,
But instead, he was just given away, and obviously you had to trade away
that
Anthony Davis
that's
and a
the
first round pick. But
that's the worst part. What was the what was it? Paul George got traded for Shea Gilgeous Alexander, 4 firsts and 5
yeah,
seconds, something like. You just look at the trades and it's like, let's say he decides like, oh, we don't want to go with Luka and we want to do this covert. You should have had to scroll to be able to see how much they gave up. And they were like, this dude's a decent point guard. We'll see how he pans out. And here's Anthony Davis. He's 32, but
and here's
he's
a random pick in a half a decade. It's just crazy.
it's because
I've heard other people, if you'd have found out Luka was on heroin, you figure it out.
and then like My buddy Chris, shout out Chris. Super Bowl Eagles are your champs, man. Congrats. But he was like, yeah, man, like it's funny watching the O line crush beers, like after the celebration, or guys go out after games, or baseball players will have a drink in the locker room, and it's like Luka won Western Conference Finals MVP playing 44 minutes a game, dropping 32, 9 and 7 or whatever. And he couldn't have a beer in the locker room
A can of beer. A single can of beer, and they took it from him.
Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? It blows my mind. And I think the Lakers are so much more well equipped to handle him. He gets to learn from LeBron. Connect fours on the squad. Austin Reeves is a hound. Let's see how they build in the future. I'm so happy to be a Lakers fan. And man, I'm very excited. We got the Jazz again tonight. Put the account on
them. Wait, who they got tonight?
Jazz again, but we're at the Jazz, but Jazz back to back.
10:30 tip?
I believe it's a 9 o'clock tip.
Oh, that's way better.
The ESPN doubleheader is, Spurs Celtics at like 7, and then Mavs Warriors at 9. So I don't know. You'll have to do something to watch the Lakers other than ESPN, but they also.
I won't have to do anything.
Neither.
Few things I still want to talk about here. Are we done NBA talk for now?
I can't think of anything crazy. We touched on the massive Luka trade. There'll be time for the NBA going forward. All-star breaks around the corner.
Let's circle back NFL. By the way, shout out Chris Hoffman. That dude was in my ear all division breakdowns.
Yeah, he was.
And telling me how I need to be better about the Eagles. He was right. Congratulations. This is 2 Super Bowls. And I posted this on Facebook / tweeted it. I don't remember. It didn't get a lot of love, but this is wild. This is the Eagles' Super Bowl history. Lose by 3 to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Win by double or by 8. You secure a win against Tom Brady and the Patriots, but they won by 8, okay? Lose by 3 to Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes.
And then
blow out Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. Insane resume for the Super Bowl. They've only played 2 quarterbacks, 2 of the most people would say best to ever play.
Yeah.
They're the best to ever play. And, congratulations to the Eagles.
I'm sitting here, and I got the Steelers making the playoffs but losing in the first round. I got Luka. He's making conference finals and finals but then losing. I got Texas making it back-to-back semifinals. And then I look over at Chris. Yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights, my team. They were the new team, so I picked them, won a title. USFL, Birmingham Stallions, back-to-back champs. Yeah, Michigan fan, maybe greatest team of all time, championship. What happened next year? Eagles again, dude. I got to sit here and just get drilled in the noggin by all of his championships, and I'm just sitting here, dude, we're close. I'm getting close. I need one. I'm like, he's up like 5-0 on the scoreboard on me right now in the past fucking 5-6 years.
You know, an underrated thing I couldn't stop thinking about in the Super Bowl was the 2021 Michigan Wolverines obviously are near and dear to my heart because they put Michigan back on the map. They beat Ohio State. Like, it was just like a team of destiny. They didn't have destiny pre-planned for them. And they went up against that 2021 Georgia team. They played the Philadelphia Eagles last night.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously they got their ass kicked in that game. And, you know, a lot of people were like, Harbaugh, you know, call his pants down. My goodness. Like, that's the team they went against, was that Eagles defense. People forget that. And, you know, obviously we got beat down, but geez Louise.
I'll give you a stat that Chris gave me. He wanted me to say it on the pod too. Maybe some people know it. And then I'm going to pee real quick. I'll let you just fill some time. But after that Eagles win, the NFC East is the only division that all 4 teams have won a Super Bowl, and they've all won multiple.
Wow. That is a crazy stat. One thing that's on our list here is some NCAA talk. Last year I don't think we ever really did any March Madness talk. I don't know how much we'll do here. I will kind of dabble into Michigan basketball real quick. Ended up going to the Purdue Michigan game last night. It was number 7 Purdue against number 20 Michigan at Chrysler. You know, several years ago, out of high school, me and a buddy got a 4-game package, 4 tickets, 2 tickets to 4 different games, and it was the year that Michigan ended up going to the national championship game. This was the Trey Burke, Nick Stauskas, Glenn Robinson, Mitch McGarry season, Tim Hardaway Jr. And the following year, unfortunately, I hadn't done it again. I've been to some games in between, only a couple. This year with Dusty May kind of coming back into the fold and how the team looked, I was just like, you know what? I want to support this team from the jump. Me and Dan, obviously old friend from Real Talk, we got a 4-game package. Well, we got a 3-game, and then me and my son went to a game. But last night went to the Purdue game. They got the dub.
So good.
We have tickets to the Michigan State. May's out next weekend. Yes.
That'll be
Can't
awesome.
wait for that. Can't wait for that. But it's just reminiscent because the last time I got a 4-game package, Michigan went at the national championship game. So high hopes for this squad. Not knowing they would be this good, knowing they would be good. So very excited about where this season is for college basketball. Basically, I was just talking about Michigan for a second. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to talk. You kind of put it on the agenda here.
Oh, I think it could be because of the timing of the sport. Everybody knows we all love the NFL and college football, and then the draft is kind of like my guilty pleasure. I love everything about the draft. Well, there's just something that is perfectly placed right in between the Super Bowl and the draft. And it is just when college football college basketball hits its biggest moments. You got the end of the season, then you got conference tourneys, then you got March Madness where we're all making our brackets, and that kind of carries us right through the combine and into draft season. So I very actively watch college basketball. I've seen Michigan play about 6 or 7 games this year. They're a dominant team. They've given away a few games late with some clumsy, shot selections or timeouts or just turnovers. But it feels like this is a team that's, am I correct, 19-5?
19-5.
And they feel like the 3 of the 5 games they lost, they gave away. So this is a team that is they're gonna be really good.
So they have 5 losses.
Yeah.
1 loss was by 27 at West Lafayette. Unfortunately, it was 1 game removed from Purdue losing at home for the first time in over 2 years. They were pissed. It was a bad spot for Michigan. The other 4 losses are by a combined 8 points in which they led in every single one of them.
Yeah. The Oklahoma game was tough to watch, that 3, yeah. But yeah. So, but yes, I'm very excited for March Madness. We'll probably make individual brackets and we'll put out maybe we'll make a group for people on the podcast page to make some brackets just for fun, just to keep up. We're not going to do any money, but we'll probably get on here and do a pod where we make our 2 Fans 12 Rings bracket, our combined one. So that's always fun. But college basketball is amazing.
Another thing I wanted to talk a little bit NFL here. You also have way too early top 10 mock. Do you have that available? Are you ready for that, or do you want to wait a week?
I don't have it in front of me. It was kind of something that I could probably do off the cuff because I haven't thought too much about it, and I wanted it to be as raw as possible. So like that's where I kind of had it as. It was kind of like just see where I have it right now because I haven't done it with anybody.
Do you want to do it? I'm gonna put this on you. Otherwise, I have more. We
can't. We don't have to. It won't take very long. We can probably do it pretty quick.
Okay. Well, you guys are getting a raw mock right here. Hang on, let me pull up Tankathon.
Not going to do any trades.
No trades. Raw mock. Okay. Pick number 1. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock. Who's the pick?
Yeah. The owner talked something about, we may want a quarterback, but if there's a generational talent, we may want to take them. But I think it's going to be Cam Ward here. They're going to take quarterback. It's not Will Levis. Let's get Cam Ward in there.
Okay. Pick 2 belongs to the Cleveland Browns. They finished 3-14. Who are they taking?
I think you're going to hear a lot about this, but they're going to get rid of Myles Garrett and replace him with Abdul Carter. A lot of people have him as the best player in the draft, probably best defensive player, although in my opinion, I do think it's Mason Graham. But I'm going to go ahead and say Abdul Carter.
Pick 3 belongs to the New York Football Giants, also at 3 and 14. Who you got them taking at 3?
Brian Dable, Daniel Jones is out. Let's get Shador Sanders into the Big Apple, quarterback.
Yeah, I will say this: Shador Sanders is the perfect fit in the New York Giants, and I hope that's where he lands. That makes them very interesting.
I'll also say I think Shador Sanders is the best quarterback, but I also listen to a lot of mock stuff and mock specific stuff, and a lot of inside sources are saying word on the street is they'd rather take Cam Ward's physical upside than what, like, Cam just seems to be like he's going to be picked first.
Pick number 4 belongs to the New England Patriots. They finished 4 and 13. Who's the pick there?
Yeah, Mike Vrabel talked about it. We're addressing the O-line. Will Campbell's the best, most versatile, probably O-line. He's flexible to play guard or tackle, and Will Campbell makes sense here for.
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal about this. What I want from this draft is basically one of 2 things. A, take Will Campbell, or B, trade back, get more assets, and still take a tackle. But I also want them to try and attack T. Higgins. And if you got to pay the $30 million price tag, pay the $30 million price tag. Like I want a wide receiver not through the draft. Mm-hmm. And I hope that the pick is Will Campbell. Pick 5 belongs to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They finished 4 and 13. They're on the clock.
Yeah, they don't need a quarterback, so I think they're just going to look at their big board and take best available. They need probably a number 2 or 3 receiver, and they need defense. I think this is a team that could allow Travis Hunter to try it. I think Travis Hunter goes there. I've heard more about him as a corner and things that I've heard than as a wide receiver, but they desperately need defense on the perimeter. They have a pretty decent D-line, but they need a corner. And again, I think they could allow him to do wide receiver, but no matter which side, if they decide to say he's this or that, the Jaguars could use it, and they're at 5. So I'm going to say Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner.
Number 6 belongs to the Las Vegas Raiders. Pete Carroll come into town, the new head coach there. They finished 4 and 13. Who's the pick?
I don't think there's a quarterback good enough to take here, and Pete Carroll prides himself on defense. I think Mason Graham is the best defensive player left, but when you have Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins, I don't think you're going to go deep interior. So they're going to go with the next best, which I think is Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan. It'll be interesting to see what he does at the combine and how his medical shows up for his toe. But we know for 2 years when he played, whatever receiver, he removed him. And that includes Marvin Harrison, who he played well in his when they matched up.
Pick 7 belongs to the train wreck Jets. No more Aaron Rodgers. He's out of town. They are 5 and 12. New coach Aaron Glenn. Who's his first draft pick?
Well, Aaron Glenn knows that, he comes from the Lions, so offensive line is first, but this team also needs a weapon to help Garrett Wilson. I think what's his name?
You talking about Arizona?
Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State.
I think Tyler Warren.
He can help with blocking. He can help with receiving game. He gives you a third weapon. You have Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Tyler Warren. He can do multiple stuff. Heck, he's even taken snaps as the quarterback and design stuff. There's just so much you can do, and he can help with both sides of the game that I think he deserves this type of pick. I think he should go to the Jets.
Pick 8 belongs to the Carolina Panthers. Back-to-back years as the worst team in football. They're 5 and 12.
Yeah, Adam Thielen thought about retiring, but he decided to come back for one more year. Xavier Legette did some stuff. They have their running back and O-line. This could be defense. Derek Brown is going to be coming back. Their all-pro level defensive tackle. I think they're going to go on the perimeter again. I think this could be Teterow and McMillan because Bryce Young showed signs he's the future. If Adam Thielen's going to be leaving Xavier Legette, and Teteroa McMillan. I think that could be a nice 1-2 to give Bryce Young.
Pick number 9 belongs to the New Orleans Saints. New head coach Kellen Moore, Super Bowl champion, comes over. 5-12 last year. Who's the pick?
Yeah, the Saints could use about 8 different positions, so who really knows what they're going to be going. I think you just look at your big board. You say the O-line's good enough. You have Alvin Kamara still. The quarterback room has a competition. I don't think there's a wide receiver good enough yet. There's more in the draft that you can get. I think they go to the big board, and I'm going to go Jalen Walker, linebacker. He can play the edge. He can also stand up out of Georgia. He's a Georgia linebacker. A lot of times when you pick off the Georgia defense, it's like you're going to get a guy. You're going to get an athlete. So defense. And Cameron Jordan and Demario Davis are both getting up there in age. Get a guy who can learn from them before they start to move on.
Last pick of this mock, you have the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams and Roman Dunze were back-to-back number 1 first-round picks last year. New head coach Ben Johnson comes to town. They were 5-12. Who do you have the Bears taking?
If the first 9 picks are offensive line, the Bears will be taking the 10th offensive lineman. Like, that's all there is for this pick. And I'm going to go with Calvin Banks, tackle out of Texas. There's a couple other guys who are a little more versatile. Maybe you want interior, this or that. But Calvin Banks, for 3 straight years, blocked for Quinn Ewers. He won the award for best pass blocker in college football last year. And there is, coaches looking at his body size say he could also maybe move to left guard, but he is an outright left tackle. That's what he is, and I think that's where they go is O-line. But I'll take Calvin Banks. There's a couple guys there.
I wanted to move quickly into a 2025 NFL outlook. And I heard this, and I totally agree with it. I think we got the best possible outcome for the 2025 season with the Super Bowl. Because had the Chiefs won, you start to like,
what are we doing here?
What's the analysis at this point? You know what I mean? And if they lose by 3 on a game-losing field goal, it's like, great. Now, they're just going to come right back. The way they lost, the way they got beat down, the question marks they have on the team, and kind of like the approach that Philly has built their team, it just really opens up what I think is going to be a very entertaining season. Yeah. Initially, my 3 favorites my 4 favorites, I'm just going to say it because the blueprint for making the playoffs these days is you have the best quarterback. Okay. And I think you're going to see Mahomes and Josh and Lamar, and I think Burrow will get back in there. I think that they almost have to be back in there. I'm very excited about what New England's going to look like between getting Vrabel, having what looks to be a promising season from Drake May, the 4th overall pick, the amount of cap space. I just don't see a world in which they're not playing meaningful games in January, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see where Aaron Rodgers is going to go because that's at this point. I don't know how much you want to talk about that. I mean,
there'll be time for that.
There will be time for that.
Over some other stuff. There'll be time for Aaron down the road.
Yeah, and to be honest, I am so intrigued at what the J.J. McCarthy Vikings look like.
Yeah,
I think that could very easily be a team that tests Minnesota or the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think when you look at Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Tyler, I think his name is Show, Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, Jalen Milroe, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, or Justin Fields. It looks like it's going to be Russell Wilson. That's 10 quarterbacks that everyone's like, he's a little too young. He's not good enough at this. Oh, he's too old. Yeah, but his problem's that. But they're all going to be on a team. Like all 10 of those guys, and maybe a couple I'm forgetting, are all going to be sprayed across the NFL, whether they're drafted, whether they're acquired via free agency, whether they're like retire maybe, I guess. But like there's a lot of these quarterbacks where I look at all 10 of them and I'm like, one or two of them got to work out like pretty good, right? Like, let's see which two of those it is. Is it Russ in a reunion with Pete Carroll? Is it Kirk Cousins going to the Jets to mold the quarterback they draft this year? Is it Chip Kelly reuniting with Will Howard at the Oakland Raiders, or or the Las Vegas Raiders? Where do all these guys get drafted? What do they do? What do they look like? And I think that's just what's exciting. I mean, we talk about all these great quarterbacks, and now we've got like the whole bottom half of the league, the bottom 15 teams are all going to be just throwing quarterbacks everywhere. It's always fun to kind of get excited for something like that.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know if we've ever done this.
Uh-oh.
If you were the GM of the Steelers today, what realistic move would you do for the quarterback position?
I would just tell Russ, see ya. We're going Justin Fields. I think you go with Justin Fields.
That's what you want.
Oh yeah.
That is your number one want.
Yes.
You would want that over them trading up for Shedeur Sanders.
Yes. Not getting into all the details on like the assets it would take to acquire that. I feel like Justin Fields went 4-2 with the Steelers in his first 6 games. I know it's weird to talk about fantasy points, but his first 2 games, both on the road, we won. His next 4 games, he was like quarterback 16, 12, 7, and 1 in fantasy. He was 4-2 and then got benched for Russ. We know how the season went. But what I'm saying is we won a lot with Russ. There wasn't a single game that I said we won because of Russ. We won a lot with him and played well, and there was less chaos and it was a more smooth ride. Justin was a little bit more chaotic, but in a 6-game stretch, he had 1 game where I was like, we lose by 14, and we won because of Justin Fields. That game, he was the number 1 fantasy quarterback. I just think when you do that, it's cheaper. I think you need to move off of Najee Harris. Najee Harris, I think, is what makes our offensive line look bad. There is no reason Jaylen Warren and Cordell Patterson look that good running the ball, and then we can't with Najee Harris. He's so slow. He's indecisive. We need to move off Najee Harris. I think we need to go with Justin Fields. You have Pat Freiermuth and George Pickens. I think you need to acquire another wide receiver. We have a good defense. We're getting Troy Fautanu, our first-round draft pick O-line, who tore his pec like at the very beginning of the year, didn't even really get to play. So our offensive line is getting better. We're getting younger. Arthur Smith wants Justin Fields. That's what I want to do. I want Najee Harris gone. I want Russell Wilson gone. I want Justin Fields. I want to see what we do in the draft. Rumor has that we're going to be taking a wide receiver at 21. That's what every mock draft in the world says. It'd be cool if it was Matthew Golden out of Texas. That would be cool. Emeka Egbuka, Luther Burden III, whoever falls to us. I think we can make it work. But I think the weird thing is the blueprint is you need to spend your money on offense and be young and fast on defense. And the Steelers are boldly attacking that in reverse. But we can slowly get there. Justin Fields is 25, and he's a difference maker. He's not perfect, but he's a difference maker. And again, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Jackson are all in your conference. Russell Wilson is a dead end. Russell Wilson is a dead end.
Yeah.
If we get rid of Justin Fields, because the owner came out and said we're only keeping one. If we get rid of Justin Fields and keep Russ, we're waving the white flag. That's how I feel. If we go with Justin, it means the team still has ambitions to get better and move forward with a guy. And let's not forget, this is a number 1 overall pick. Justin Fields has the tools. He did a lot for the Bears, even though they weren't that great. You look at, that's just what I want to do. Justin Fields is already on the roster. Let's go with him.
Yep. We'll just move into the mailbag because it's continuing with Steeler talk. Dave Hazelton writes in.
Shout out.
Why in the hell are the Steelers the betting favorite to land Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know. Nobody takes that seriously. There's no shot.
No shot.
Nope, Deshaun Elliott even came out. He said, "Put that guy in a retirement home. No deal." Like, and he's on the roster, which is a bit absurd. Let's relax, Deshaun. Let's not do that. But if we are already talking about only keeping one guy on the roster, Russ or Fields, either one that we keep, how does it make sense to bring Aaron Rodgers in? Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers is your 1-2 punch. What are you putting them out there at the same time? Let's bring Aaron Rodgers in to nurture Justin Fields. He was 4-2, and we just did that with Russ.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of both of them and get Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
What are you gonna nurture him until he's 30 years old?
Bingo. Like he was 4-2 with the team,
Yeah.
and everyone behind closed doors knows Arthur Smith was like, "Hey, Mike, you're the coach. I know we promised the vet. I'm gonna do what I can. I want Justin Fields." He tried to get him as a Falcon. He was part of the reason he came when he got to the Steelers. Arthur Smith and Justin Fields. I think there's something we can unlock there.
His second question is, which wide receiver would you rather get to the Steelers in free agency?
Cooper Kupp is more of a veteran. I think he could help in the locker room better. Deebo Samuel fits our offense, but do we need two loose cannons at wide receiver? What other ones are there that I'm missing? Personally, I'd rather go through the draft. It's the cheapest way, and I think it's the best way. George Pickens is one. We have Pat Freiermuth.
Would you make a trade today, Deebo Samuel for George Pickens?
No.
Okay.
I think George Pickens has the ability to be one of the best receivers. He's a little bit of a loose cannon. We need to use him a little bit more, but like that catch 360 against the Ravens for a touchdown, the highlight package he's put together. We need more consistency, sure, but that's the whole offense, not just George. He's a little bit of a loose cannon mentally. I understand that, but the Steelers have always kind of had one or two of those guys on the roster. So, I mean, business as usual.
That's pretty much all we got here. You have NHL Four Nations. I'm not really sure what that is.
Okay, so the NHL is taking a break from its regular season for about a week and a half. And,
yeah, is that what's happening?
Yeah, it's the Four Nations tournament where it's basically like imagine soccer players leaving for international duty to play for their countries. It's Canada, United States, Finland, and Sweden. The four best countries at hockey. Starts tonight. Yeah.
I seen Dylan Larkin's on the team.
For America?
Yes.
Yeah. He'll finish second place, silver medal, no disrespect.
Yeah, to who?
Canada's. Oh, but here's the thing. Here's actually the fun thing. Canada's offense. So you know how there's lines in hockey? You got your two wings and a center. Canada's offense is ridiculous.
Got some names here.
Sidney Crosby's the center on their second line. Their first line wingers are Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid.
So I know who McDavid is. He's probably the best player in hockey, isn't he?
Yes, and Nathan McKinnon's not too far behind. Like they're the top. He just won a Stanley Cup 2 years ago. But however,
who does he play for?
The Colorado Avalanche.
Okay.
But I would say as a whole, defensively and goalie nods to the United States.
Who's the goalie for the United States?
I'd actually have to look it up. I was shout out J-Mag. He's way more involved in the hockey world than I am. I watch a lot, but if I'm watching,
what is Four Nations on tonight?
I think it's on ESPN. It's broadcasted. Like you'll be able to watch it. Let me look some of this stuff up real quick.
So it's Four Nations. So are they all going to play each other one time? Is that how it's going to go?
I was going to kind of look this up if the mailbags required it. It's a little bit of a funky. But
so Canada, Sweden's tonight, 8:00 TNT, True TV, or HBO Max if that's how you choose to watch it. That's 8:00 tonight. So just one game tonight, it looks like.
Yep, and one game tomorrow, I think, right?
Hang on, we can keep looking here. By the way, Canada is favored on the money line at -250, so heavy favorite.
Okay, Connor Hellebuyck is his name. Is his name Connor Hellebuyck? He's a front runner massively for goalkeeper of the year. He plays for the Winnipeg Jets. Then Jeremy Swayman who took the job from Allmark for the Boston Bruins, is their backup. So yes, Jeremy Swayman, the backup for the United States, he might start on two of the other countries if he played for them. They're very good.
So tonight is Canada, Sweden.
Yep.
Thursday night, USA versus Finley.
Yeah.
Finland. Sorry,
You
I
got
don't
it.
see the spread on that one. Sorry. Then
I-
they take the day off. Saturday they will both play, and I would imagine this is 1:00 on ABC ESPN Plus. You got Finland versus Sweden, and
Mhm.
then later that night in a banger, USA versus Canada on ABC, ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and everywhere else you would stream on an ABC platform.
Something that did suck is, oh man, I'm blanking on his name, but one of the better defenders, I think it's one of the Hughes brothers, one of the top 3 or 4 defenders for USA is out due to injury. But what's absolutely nasty about, first of all, Connor McDavid, MVPs, he was like the 5th best scoring season of all time a year or two ago. He was asked, "Are you excited about like being the captain for Canada?" And he was like, "Sidney Crosby is the captain for Canada. What are we talking about? Like that's his." And Sidney's like, "I'd be honored if they still have me." Like acting like he's not still one of the fucking 5-10 best players in the league. So he is the second center. Someone starting ahead of him. I forget who. I'm sure it's a big name, but he's still the captain of the team. Sidney Crosby has played 21 games for Canada as the captain. How many do you think he's lost?
He's played 21 games.
As the captain of the Canada team, how many has he lost?
I'm going to say he's 20-1.
That's way too many losses. 0.
Wow.
He's never lost as the Canadian captain. And I don't think he will in this tournament. Have you ever heard of Cal McCarr?
No.
So Nathan McKinnon, the winger for the Colorado Avalanche, Cal McCarr is a defenseman.
Okay.
I think twice in 3 years he's had over 100 points as a defenseman. He skates backwards, almost as faster than forward skate. Adam, he's one of the most. It's a weird way to put it, but one of the most beautiful skaters I've ever seen. He's so fluent with it. He's amazing. He's the defenseman running point. Sidney Crosby is up at the net. McKinnon and McDavid are the wings, and Sam Reinhart, I believe, is who is the 5th player who's the leading point scorer for the Florida Panthers coming off of a title. That's their power play first line. Doesn't make any sense. Like it's incredible the firepower on this.
So let me round this out real quick. So I gave you Saturday slate. Then they're going to take another day off. Then Monday it's Canada versus Finland. Monday at 1:00 because that's not President's Day. Yes, it is. It's President's Day. Okay. So most people have the day off work. It's a 1:00 game. TNT, True TV, HBO Max. Then later that night at 8, you have Sweden versus USA at 8. That's on TNT, True TV, and Max. Then they will take a Tuesday, Wednesday break. And the 2 teams with the best records will play for the championship Thursday at 8:00 ESPN.
Don't miss it. Canada-USA rematch.
Say it's probably the Canada-USA rematch from the Saturday prior. So
now,
very fun. I didn't realize I would instantly be intrigued, but I'm very intrigued and very into this. Go USA.
Yeah, I mean, but something I wanted to say is I've hyped up Canada, but like
US. Drop this USA team on me.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. So their forwards, I'm looking through the names. Matthew Tkachuk from the
what is it?
Matthew Tkachuk. He's the Panthers captain. They Florida Panthers just won the championship. Him and his brother Brady Tkachuk, one of the captains for the Ottawa Senators, are both on the team. Jake Gensel used to be a Pittsburgh Penguin, has won 2 Stanley Cups with them. He's now a Carolina Hurricane, but he's on there. Jack Eichel, known as Jackie Aces, plays for the Vegas Golden Knights, their top scorer. You ever heard of Austin Matthews, who plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Yeah.
Leading goal scorer last year? He's on the team. Jack Hughes, The Hughes brothers, I think there's three of them. One plays for the Vancouver Canucks, one plays for the Devils, one plays for actually two of them play for the Devils. They're all on the team. Detroit Red Wings. Yes. Yep. Detroit Red Wings, Dylan Larkin, Clayton Keller, the captain of the Utah team, who was formerly the Arizona Coyotes. Like Jason Robertson, the assistant captain for the Dallas Stars, is on the team. Let's go to defense. Quinn Hughes, the other Hughes brother. Again, I think he might be missing due to injury. And honestly, I don't know a lot of these names because obviously the forwards are easier to know. They're getting the assists, the goals, and stuff. But I weigh to J-Mag. The best defender is Cal McCarr, who plays for Canada. But the total defense from top to bottom is better for the United States. And again, I told you our top two goalies, Connor Hellebuck and Jeremy Swayman, both studs between the pipes.
I'm intrigued. I didn't think I would be.
Watch tonight. It's Canada tonight. Let's go. Canada.
Yeah,
clip it.
I'll probably have that on until the Luka game. So, one last thing. I wanted to talk about something. I text you this, and then we can hit the road. The news comes out today that Ohio State's going to hire Matt Patricia as their new defensive coordinator. I wanted to say a few things, and I think this is going to surprise some Buckeye fans. Okay,
you're about to put the boy up.
Kind of.
All
so, right. Matt Patricia, while he was a bad head coach,
awful.
Okay, yes, was bad. Okay. And Josh McDaniels was a bad head coach.
Awful.
Both were good coordinators.
Awesome.
I think Matt Patricia is a good hire for the Buckeyes. But my red flags to you would be this. While the defense was always good with him there, most people gave that credit to Belichick. But the year after Matt Patricia left to go be the Lions head coach, our defense got better with Brian Flores. So, do I think it can be good? Yes. But I think naturally you're going to think he's not that good because maybe Knowles is better and they take a step back. I do think he can be good, though. I think it's a good hire. I think Ohio State fans are naturally going to be negative towards him at times, and we'll probably blame him when Michigan beats their ass again for the 5th straight time. But I was shocked to see this news, and I was like, that's a good hire for them.
Yeah, I was watching the Pat McAfee show, and Matt Patricia showed up at Radio Row. I don't know if you know this. He looks like he lost 80 pounds.
I know he's been on a weight loss journey. Yeah.
I'm saying he's kind of been in the lab, working out, doing some stuff, and he finds himself at Ohio State. And it's like sometimes you take these NFL guys who are on defenses playing against equal competition and like rookie quarterbacks. He did well with Belichick. It's like he's going to a team that's going to have great athletes, that he's going to be able to do whatever he wants. And kind of to what you said in the shorter term, it's like forwards hat Matt Patricia wasn't good, but backwards hat pencil in the ear, like he cooked up some stuff now. There's a reason he got a head coaching job. Some guys are better as coordinators, and instead of staying in the NFL with the pressure, he takes a step back, goes to Ohio State, says, look, man, you got a defensive coordinator spot. You're running out of options. I'd love to come coach the Ohio State Buckeyes with you. Just be a small part of this, what you got going on. And I think it's good for Matt. I think Ryan Day now has a experienced guy he can lean on. It's not some new guy or this and that. He's already promoted from within an offensive coordinator. Ryan Day's time is going to be spent over there. Here's Caleb Downs. Here's our 4- and 5-star recruits, Matt Patricia. Let's keep it going. Like I think
I do think that Matt Patricia's resume is worth giving a chance again.
Absolutely.
There are guys that have coached for 50 years and have died that don't have half the resume that Matt Patricia does.
And again, now that I say it out loud, looking at, taking a scout and basically promoting him to a first-time offensive coordinator, never played, like we should have saw that Ryan would be looking for someone with a lot of experience on the other side. You can't have two brand new guys. That's just too much. So if Ryan Day, who's known to be an offensive guy, has this new guy come in who just was under Chip Kelly and he can kind of groom him some more, a lot of his time is going to be on offense. So Matt Patricia may have the keys here, like to the whole thing.
I don't think this is a secret, and this isn't a shot, and this isn't me just trying to toot Michigan's horn. Michigan's last 3 defensive coordinators have all been NFL guys. That seems to be working.
This is working. I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah, sure. Jim Knowles, you were solid. You weren't elite. You didn't win on defense. You won. I mean, they had some good goal line defense, but like they won based off offense this year. They were a pretty good offensive team. Chip Kelly was the bigger difference maker than Jim Knowles was. I mean, I don't know. I just think that Matt Patricia's a good hire for the Buckeyes, and I think that maybe that might surprise some people. But
you're gonna find out real quick. I think they played Texas. It's either week 1 or 2.
Yeah, he's definitely more of a bend don't break kind of guy. And he's they like to take the ball away rather than he's not going to just send blitzes all the time. Like they're trying to set you up to fail. Like Matt Patricia loves to take the ball away. So
Chestnut.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's all I got. Anything else from you, Sir Brad?
Nope, not really. Can't wait to watch Luka play again tonight. Maybe get some more minutes. 4 Nations tonight. That's what I'm kind of looking for. Casey's going to volleyball tonight, so I got the house to myself. 2 TVs, just be chilling.
Yeah. Well, see you guys next time. Sucks that football season's over, but while we will eventually probably take a break, it ain't going to be now. We'll keep talking some sports as long as we have some stuff to talk about. So we'll see you guys next time. We're out.
Peace.